This is Sanjay Bajaj. I have experience in IT companies working with different MNCs, and currently I'm working in Oracle Fusion middleware with SOA and OSB. I have a pretty strong experience working in developing different services in SOA, BPEL, OSB, and from some WebLogic side. So today I'm going to give an introduction on Oracle SOA. So basically, I will cover the SOA in different parts. So our agenda will be, let's see how we will proceed for this. So first week, we will cover what will be the introduction to SOA. In this one, I will cover what is Oracle Fusion middleware. Then we will go for what is SOA. So basically, under this one, we will cover different things. For example, I will go through the PPTs. So first we will cover the Oracle Fusion middleware, what it is, what it does, and I think you all people have heard what is Fusion middleware. Second thing, we will go for SOA. I think you people are mostly awaiting for the what is SOA and its benefits. Why nowadays enterprise or industries wants to go further with the SOA part. So I will walk you through all those things. Then we will go through the different standards. Since SOA is so popular now, the reason is it has defined some standards. Because we all know that some standards should be there, then only we will be able to manage the services. So I will walk you through all the standards which we are working. Then SOA service components. Since to build SOA, there need some components based on which we can go through and we can define some functionality. So I will walk you through the different components. Then SOA installation. So basically Oracle is providing the free softwares for using for the development purpose. So you can easily download SOA. It's JDeveloper, Oracle WebLogic, and then it's Oracle SOA server from the Oracle website itself. It's freely only for development purpose. So I will walk you through how you can install this on your local system, so that we can do some hands-on, and whatever I will teach you, accordingly you can practice. Okay, then adapters. So basically adapter and SOA service components, these are the heart of SOA. Adapters are used to how to connect to external world. I will walk you through that also, and very detailed, because two things, one is adapter and one is service components. These are the heart of SOA, so I will give major focus on these components. Okay, then we will proceed with the WebLogic server different artifacts. As we know, using SOA, we will able to create the services, but where the services will run, we need some server. So Oracle is providing WebLogic server where its all application will run. So what are basically this comes under the administration part, but for the development purpose, I will teach you some of the artifacts which are needed for our purpose, so we can define and develop them. So we can configure them in the server itself. I will walk you through. Later on, we will do hands-on. So for the first week, basically we will go through the only the theoretical part, so that at least you have some understanding. Like you will come to know SOA, benefits, standards, different service components, what are the activities we need to use, and based on that, once you will complete some of the theoretical part, I will walk you through every day one by one adapters. So in that one, for each adapter, we will do half of the session. We will complete our theoretical part, and then further session we will do our practice. So that every day you can do the same thing at your home and your free time. And if you have any issues or you have any question, you can ask me in the next session. Okay. Since SOA is so popular in the market and its demand is also increasing, so I will give you some interview question also, which I am asking to the candidates and which I was being asked. So which I was asked. So accordingly, we will proceed, and I will give you some real-time interview questions, so that if somebody will ask, you can able to give the answer for that. Now we will so as of now, I want to know any of the candidate. If you have anything you want to cover in this session, you can let me know in advance, so that in further session I will cover those things also. So now I am proceeding further with the introduction part of SOA. Now under this one, we have, like I told you, so here I will just discuss about the service components and the adapters. So I will just brief you about, since it is the heart of SOA. SOA have the different service components. BPEL, it's a business process execution language. Mediator, business rules, human task, string context. What are this? I will discuss all about this in detail in the further introduction. So as of now, we have the second thing, adapters. Adapters also divided in two parts. One is transitional adapter, non-transitional adapter. So in the further sessions, we have like database adapter, GMS adapters, web service adapters, file, FTP. Apart from that, there are so many adapters, and you can use third-party adapters also. So Oracle is giving that flexibility. If you need some functionality, like you want to connect to IBM, you want to connect to somewhere else, so if the adapter is available, you can directly use that adapter using Oracle. So, okay, but as of now, we will discuss this thing further in the details. I am starting from the Oracle Fusion middleware itself. Let's proceed. So I think all of you guys already heard Oracle Fusion middleware. So do you have any idea what is Fusion middleware? So first of all, let me give you a brief introduction of Oracle Fusion middleware. What is it? Till that you can guess what it can be. It's a very wide picture. As a layman, I will give you an example. You consider India as a Oracle Fusion middleware in one country. Okay, so Fusion middleware you can consider as a country. Its states are different tools. Okay, so SOA is one part of Oracle Fusion middleware, and Fusion middleware is a very wide picture. It is a collection of different tools and services which are based on Java EE and developers tool. Basically, Oracle Fusion middleware provide you a complete development support. As like SOA is an architecture, so it will define the design. You need something, some framework or platform where your services can run. You can deploy, you can develop, you can maintain them. So that is Fusion middleware, which will provide you that platform where your services can run. And as I told you, as a layman example, you can Fusion middleware you can consider as a complete country, and SOA is one state of Fusion middleware. So you know each state have different rules. Similarly, SOA have their own rules, but there should be a centralized authority, that is Fusion middleware, which is controlling SOA. Okay, so in that case, you can consider Oracle Fusion middleware, which will provide deployment, development, maintenance, and all the support for SOA services in your real-time environment. Okay, so I think we are good. Now the most awaiting part, what is SOA? So SOA basically stands for Service Oriented Architecture. Okay, so what do you think about the service oriented? Okay, let me ask you one question. What do you mean by service? Like this term you already heard a lot of times is service. Can somebody tell me what is service? Let me give you like one layman example for services. For example, you are going to Flipkart. Okay? Like nowadays, most of the persons we are doing as a online purchasing. So when you will go to Flipkart, you just buy some product, you ordered it. What will happen after some days? That order will deliver to you. But in back end, what is happening? When you will order, what Flipkart will do? It will intimate to its vendor, like we want so and so product and so address. So the merchant will pack that item and send it to the courier service. What courier service will do in turn? Courier service will send you the data to your particular address. So what is happening in this case? First of all, Flipkart has provided one service to merchant. Like Flipkart is providing users to merchant. Merchant is providing a service to courier boy, and courier boy is providing a service to us, like it is delivering its product. So everything which is being done, on which you are requesting something, you are getting a response or whatever in the real time you are doing, it's a service. Now we have heard a term known as web service. So what is web service? Basically, on the internet, whatever services are defined and it is deployed, those are known as web services, which in turn, uh, which in turn discuss with each other or passes messages in the different languages, different protocols. I will walk you through what is like how web services communicate each other. So basically, now we will in the service-oriented architecture, we have understood the term service. Service-oriented architecture, it means a architecture which is completely designed and defined based on the services. Okay, it SOA is an architecture which will provide you a design time environment where you can design your services. So, and to nowadays there is a lot of need, like lot of applications which is written in different languages. So now the challenge is coming for the different organizations how these different languages which has the different formats, how they will interlink each other. For example, you have one client. Okay, now for any organization, a client is coming. They have an application in Java, and Java, it is running from past 1996 till nowadays. But nowadays, lot of new technologies came, and client also going for those new technologies, and they don't want to lose their previous like web applications. So here SOA plays a role. Like SOA plays a role which will integrate your previous like and services which are written in any language to any other language. So here, since SOA is a part of Oracle Fusion middleware, and middleware means it's kind of broker. So what it will do, it will take data from one service and it will pass it to other service. Okay. For example, you are going to any new city and you want to search for a flat, but from yourself you are not able to search for. Say suppose your language is different, and where you are going to search, their languages are different. So what you will do in between, you need a particular broker. What that broker will do, they will take the services from you, like your requirement. They will speak to your owner, the owner rent, like flat owner, and then they will convey your message from you to the owner. So in between, what the agent is doing, exactly Oracle Fusion middleware is doing here. They are communicating between different services which are written in different languages. So that is the reason nowadays SOA is so popular. Okay, so so that is the reason. Now, since SOA is that much popular, definitely it has some advantages. First, I will give you a design diagram of SOA, what it is exactly doing. So you can see in the diagram, before web app, it is real world end users. For example, you and me. Web application is a GUI, for example, a Flipkart website. So that is a GUI through which user can understand and you can route your messages. Okay. Now, what will happen in the diagram, you will be able to understand here. To the web app, your data is going to the service component. So whatever after this binding is coming, that is SOA. And after that, what you are seeing from the wire part, that is external world. So what SOA is doing, it is connecting through wires to your web application to the external world. So it will take your message from web application and it will pass your message to the different enterprise application. It can be anything. It can take the data, it can pass it to file, it can pass it to FTP, it can pass to the database, it can pass to any other enterprise application, for example, Oracle apps, EBS, etc., whatever you have. For example, you want to communicate between two different applications. One is written in Java, other is written in .NET. Okay, so both have the completely, its input will be completely different. So what SOA will do, it will take your message as a broker. It will take your message from Java application and it will pass the message to .NET application. Internally, it will change the format from Java to .NET. Okay, so due to this advantages nowadays, SOA is coming in demand and it's middleware. So every time, whenever you will go in your future, you will need, like industries will need a middleware due to this technology is changing nowadays so frequently. Now, what are the benefits So what are the benefits of SOA is providing? That's why the organizations are looking into it. Its first is loose coupling. As the name suggests, uh, you can say suppose you have a very big application. For example, you have a loan application. In the loan application, what thing you can do? So say suppose any customer is asking for a loan. So first of all, you need to check for a customer validation. Second thing, you need to check for if customer is valid, you need to check for its account details. Okay. Then you need to validate its addresses. So say suppose you have team of different developers. So you can provide one module of customer validation to one developer. You can provide one module to your second developer for account validation, third for address validation. They can individually work on different modules irrespective of what they are doing. They can do their services. Okay. And at last, when the loan application need to integrate, they can easily integrate their services due to loose coupling of. It provides reusability also. For example, you have created a customer validation, this or address validation. The same thing when a user is coming and asking for an account. On that time also you need a address validation. So the same service you can plug and play to your another application. So in that way the code is reusable. And nowadays the enterprise or organization also need a mechanism through which the code can be reusable as much as possible due to cost cutting, due to their effort saving, due to provide particular advantages to client. Okay. Then third is interoperability. As name suggests, using SOA you can easily communicate between different components of SOA. Like today you have written some application in one application in Beeple. Beeple, I will let you know what is it. You can easily communicate between different SOA components. Scalability. Okay, this is the major advantage. For example, today you scope of your business is very small. Like you just want one application, like you want to transform your data from web application to database. You developed it. In future, now you also want to enter different other enterprise application. For example, you want to connect to Oracle apps. So you need not to change your code. You just need to add an adapter for Oracle apps, and through that adapter you can communicate to Oracle apps without affecting your code. So which means it is scaling your business based on your requirement. Since it is providing these many functionalities, so it's flexible also. Okay. Apart from this, it has some integrated capabilities that it is using in backend. So basically, it is using messaging. Messaging means you have any kind of message. You have text message. You can have XML message, binary message, anything. SOA is completely designed based on the J2EE architecture, J2EE, and it is using JMS, Java Messaging Service, to transfer your message from a keyword topic. If you are not aware about the JMS keyword topic, don't worry. In the future sessions, I will cover this topic under the JMS adapters. Okay. So through this thing, you can transform your message from keyword topic to different services. Service discovery. So as the name suggests, nowadays we know it's a world of web. So we will have a different, like lots of web services, millions of web services. How you will discover them when you need. So basically, SOA leverages with different service discovery mechanism. So whenever you need any service at runtime, you need to provide a URL for that. It will discover based on its capabilities. Orchestration. This term also we will use in near session. So orchestration, basically it will hide your details as a black box to the external world. In detail we will discuss about it. SOA is using, like Oracle SOA is using WebLogic Server. So in the WebLogic Server, you need not to worry about the service management, security management, thread management, and transaction management. Everything this will be covered by the WebLogic Server. So you need not to write a separate code to handle these things. Now business rules. As you know, every business have their specific rules. For example, I'm going to say Domino's Pizza. every Friday it has an offer, like they will provide one pizza free on another pizza. It may be applicable. This is not the same, is not applicable for Pizza Hut. So each business have their own rules. So SOA is providing a different components named as business rules through which you can define and manage your business rules easily based on your business requirements. Event framework. So, for example, when a person is clicking on any button on website, or it is you are just drop downing any checkbox and you want data based on that checkbox selected. Okay, so SOA is providing an event framework also through which what like you want to handle something based on the events, like on mouse over, you want on click of button, you want to perform some operation. The SOA is providing internal framework for that. Now, since SOA is basically used in a wide range, okay, so basically it should have some standard. Otherwise, it cannot be scalable. It cannot be loose covered. For example, I gave you just example of loan application. It is divided under for three developers. Now, since say suppose there are no standards, so what will happen? One developer says, suppose I have some different mechanism, I will write code according to myself, whatever I need, without following any standards. Similarly, the other two developers are writing. So module wise, it is working absolutely fine. But when you come for the integration level, when you are coming to integrate all these services to complete one application, it will be very difficult to manage. The reason is none of them has followed any standards. So we need some standards, so everybody will follow, and due to which when you will come to integrate all the modules, it will work as expected. So due to which Oracle has defined a lot of standards. So we will go through one by one. First is known as SCA, Service Component Architecture. Okay. So Service Component Architecture, it will provide you a mechanism through which you can develop your different composite application. Okay, let me tell you first what is a composite. A composite is nothing, it's a collection of different service components. Like inside one composite, there can be multiple BPLs, mediator, business rule, anything. And BPL, mediator, these are known as components. So composite is basically a collection of different service components. Okay, and to develop those those composites, SCA will provide you that environment through, or you can say platform, where you can write your business logic and you can define your service component. Second thing is come as service data objects. As it says data objects, I think you all aware about, maybe you have read this thing in database objects also. Okay, so can anybody tell me what is this service objects? So basically, the data objects are nothing. They will, when you will write anything in SOA, okay, this is completely generated in the backend. You need not to bother about it. For example, you are dragging and dropping a people activity and you are configuring it. So what will happen in the backend? Some files will be created. Okay, so there are particular standards which will be generated in the XML pattern, and based on this standard service data objects, say one developer is creating one people application, backend, the format and other things will be generated as it is what other developer is developing, except their business logic. Third thing will come XSL transformation. Okay, so basically what does this transformation do? As I told you, say you have an integration where you want to integrate a Java service with the .NET service. So as you all know, they have a different input parameters, and they will have a different structure because both are the different languages. So what SOA will do, it will, I told you what SOA will do, it will take a message from Java application and it will send the message, transform the message internally and send it to .NET application. So how SOA will do? It has a language known as XSLT, that is XSL transformation. Using this language, this itself is a different language. Using this, it will format It's very simple, like Java and .NET. It's not that tough. It's very simple to learn XSLT using simple for loop and the XML text. You can convert your language. You can convert your format. I was discussing about the Java messaging service. So basically, as I told you, like this is based on the queue and topic. So what Java messaging service will do? I told you previously, like it will transfer your message from JMS, that is known as topic or queue, from there to particular service where you want to deliver your message. So SOA leverages the Java J2EE JMS, and through which it will transform its messages. It will transfer its messages from one place to other. Yeah, I was discussing about previously the web services, how it will communicate. So for this one, basically a language is defined that is known as WSDL, WSDL. It stands for Web Service Description Language. Okay, this is whenever you will define a web service, a WSDL file will be generated, like in JDeveloper. JDeveloper is a tool create different for your development purpose to work in BPEL mediator. We will use a tool known as JDeveloper. When you will create any web service, it will create a WSDL file, or you can also create separately your WSDL file and then you can use it. So basically, as name suggests, it defines a web service. So what it will define inside this one, it is basically a XML based file where you will have a contract. Like web service defined a contract between different parties, like contract in the sense what will be its input message, what it will be its output message, to which service it will bind the address of the service, URL of the service. It will have port if it's a synchronous service, synchronous, asynchronous. I will define later like what is synchronous, what is asynchronous. Based on that, ports will be defined. Okay, so everything, a definition regarding to a web service will be designed in the WSDL file. So while checking WSDL file, you can easily come to know what are the different operations it is performing. For example, you want to do a add in the sense insert, update, delete, or select operations from the database. So now you have 4 operations. So in the WSDL file, you can define all of these 4 operations. For each operation, what will be your input, what will be output. For each operation, you can define your service endpoint URL. So this is what for WSDL is used. Similarly, you can define any web service. Now, second other thing came as SOAP. SOAP is a simple object access protocol. I think you all know to communicate between 2 parties, you will need a protocol. So what is a protocol? It is basically a set of rules which will provide you some mechanism through which you can communicate. So using SOAP, you will communicate on different networks. And very basic example, you are using HTTP. HTTP is to communicate, is a protocol which will allow you to communicate over web. Similarly, SOAP will allow you to communicate over different networks. Next thing comes as MDS. MDS is known as metadata service. In SOA, let's say suppose your scope is too high, is too wide. You want to use some services not for one application, for multiple applications. For example, you created a one XML schema. The same schema you want to use for 4 or 5 applications. So to manage it manually, you need to create 5 copies of it, which is not acceptable in real time. Because when you want to change something and you want to apply those changes for all the services, individually you need to go for all 5 applications, you need to change. So I'm giving only the example of 5 applications. There can be huge number of applications which are using the same XML schema. So in that case, we need some central repository where you can define your artifacts, and all the applications whichever wants to use that XSD, they can get it from the central repository. So MDS is the central repository where you can store your any file you want to store, your XSD, you want to store your WSDL, you want etc. Whatsoever you want to use, you can put it there. So MDS you can use at design time as well as runtime. And in future you want to change something and you want to apply the same changes for all the application. You just need to apply the changes in MDS and it will automatically reflect to all the applications. So in this way, you can achieve reusability, plus you will have flexibility to change and manage. So basically, there are two types of MDS. One is file-based, other is DB-based. File-based is simply like how we are using in directory structure, and it is very easy to maintain. So for lower environment, for example, dev and test, we used to use file-based MDS. For higher environment, say production, where you want a robust and you want a robust approach, you can go for DB-based MDS. Other thing comes as DVM. DVM stands for Domain Value Maps. So, as it says, it will give you some values. So, in the DVM, you can map. If you know Java, in the Java we have a map where you can key and its key. There is a key and value relationship. So, in DVM also you will have a key and value relationship. You will define certain names. Based on their names, you will define some values. For example, you are running an application in some country. Okay, say suppose in anywhere you are running your application in country. So what you can do, you can define a DVM value, name as country and its value, whether it is running in US, it is running in India. So when the same application is running in other, change the values everywhere. You just need to define a value in DVM. So it will support you to map any values at runtime through DVM. So these were the SOA standards which we have covered as of now. Now there are different SOA service components. So as I told you, there is this is all service components is also a heart of SOA. So BPEL stands for Business Process Execution Language. Okay, as you all know, so I already defined it. SOA is an architecture. Okay, architecture will give you a design approach, but when it comes to write your business logic, you should need some language. Okay, that language here which SOA is using, that is BPEL. Okay. Oracle Fusion Middleware have one more language known as OSB, Oracle Service Bus. So that is also used for routing and routing transformation and other purposes. But this is that is not in the scope of our this session. There is a different session for OSB. So BPEL is an execution language which will where you can define your business logic. It will provide you a wide range of activities where you can define your different type of services. Likewise, you have a different flexibility to define your services. And for each requirement, there is a separate activity defined. So we will go and discuss in all the components. But as of now, I have introduced what is the BPEL. Now we will go for mediator. So what the name suggests, mediator. Mediator is a component when we were going through the benefits of SOA, there was one benefit known as interoperability. So through mediator, you can interoperate between among different components. For example, in the one composite, you have one BPEL, you have two or three BPELs, one business rule and others. Now you want to communicate between these different components. How you will communicate? So the mediator will provide you that service through which you can communicate from one BPEL activity to other BPEL activity, one BPEL to business rule, one BPEL to other BPEL. Likewise, the mediator is a medium in between different components, different service components, and so on. Third thing is business rule. So as I said previously, we have each business have their own rules. Okay, they define their own rules. So how you will define in SOA? So there is a component known as business rules where you have a very basic structure where you can define if-else conditions, loops, and through which you can define your logic. So it will, what business rules will do, they will separate your business logic from the actual actual flow. So what will happen in future? Your business rules are changing, because nowadays rules will change so dramatically, so fast. So we should have some mechanism through which uh, we can separate our logic from the actual execution. So in future, if anything is changing, you just need to change this business rule. You need not to touch your any of people's service. Other thing is human tasks. So there are some applications which where we need to wait for any human to give an input. Okay, for example, you are doing some registration task or something. In between, you want to ask users like, do you want to do this, or do you want to fill these details? So there, the human intervention will come. So due to this human task activity, we can include the human intervention into our business flow. Spring context. Spring is basically an advanced Java concept. So through this component, you can include Spring in your you can include Spring and different Java interfaces with your people. So these were the SOA components which we have discussed as far, and we will go through in very detail for all the service components, because this is where once we will learn these things, it means we have a most control over the SOA service components. Okay. Now we will see a diagram how it looks like. So you can see over here. So this is basically a screenshot of JDeveloper, a tool where you will design, you will have a control over different service components and its activities. You can see left hand side will show you application navigator. So in JDeveloper, not only the SOA, you can create a different application. You can create an application for Java, you can create application for SOA, you can create application for ADF. So it is a single tool which will use for developing of different applications. So here left hand side you are saying you can create a Java, you can create a SOA application. Under that you can create a SOA project. In the middle part you can see it is divided under three parts: left swim lane, then application view, then designer part, and right swim lane. So in the left swim lane, you will come to know exposed services. There are all the services which will be exposed to the external world. For example, you are defining a web service, so it will be exposed to external world, and that will come under the exposed services. Okay. Between part is the components. So here you can see in the right hand side we have different SOA components. One is BPL, business rules, human task, mediator, Spring context. Over this one we can just drag and drop the services over components over here, and all the components will reside in this side. Okay. Now here the external references will come. As I said, we need to interact with the different external services, right? So here you can drag and drop your adapters. So say suppose you want to connect, you want to insert or select something from database. So your adapter will come over here, and here you can define your adapters to connect to external world. Okay. So and here you can choose for different components. These are what is PIPED. So as I will give you a brief intro of SOA service components. Now we will go in very detail of SOA service components. So I'm starting through PIPED, since this is a basic language which we need to write our business logic. So first of all, one question comes in our mind: what is BPEL? Yeah, like I told you, it's a business process execution language. Okay, so why it is what it should do? It will define. It will design a business flow. Like if you ever see a flow chart in Microsoft Word or anywhere in the flow chart, what will happen? It will just define a flow. Like this is an input, this is a decision condition. So if if so and so thing happen, this should do. If so and so happen, this should do. Okay. Similarly, BPEL comes in picture. So the BPEL activity, what it does, it's basically a business process execution language, which is used as to run your, which is used to define your business process language. So here you can actually define the logic, business logic of your flow. So this is where how it looks like. Okay, there are different BPEL activities, and there are a lot of different BPEL activities which we will cover in the next session. For today, I'm closing the session here itself, and you can ask your question if you have anything. In the further sessions, if you can see, I will cover different activities, like what are the different activities, what are the interaction patterns, how it looks like, what are the partner links, and then I will walk you through the SOA installation, what we are going to develop. And similarly, we have other things like what are the different adapters. So you can see over here, we will cover database like different adapters in very detail, because this is the core part of SOA. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.